Tonight on Ctv3 News, Commission of Inquiry meets with representatives of the Belize Sugarcane Farmers Association. The association's commercial agreement with BSI ESR forms part of the discussion. Belize and Mexico discuss upgrading trade protocols. And the National 2024 MSME Roadshow is launched in Orange Walk. These are some of the stories we have for you tonight in our newscast for Thursday, June 13th, 2024.
As the BMDC, we are the marketing arm for the Ministry of Agriculture, so we have to ensure there is food security. And secondly, we have to ensure that there are markets for the local produce. So what we do in this case, with food security, whenever there is no local production, we are the importing body. When it comes now to markets for farmers, most of the time, as I mentioned, if there is not enough production in the country, we would import part of it and we would buy that from the remainder from the farmers. In that case, we assure them that there is a market for their produce.
3 years ago, BMDC was not what it is right now, believe me. You know, we have invested heavily in all branches, and especially in the Big Falls branch and the Orange Walk branch, to equip our facilities for growth and for more farmers to come into stream. The greatest impact is in the rice industry. When we started, there was a production of 300,000 pounds of rice paddy. This year, we're expecting 3.5 to 4 million pounds of rice paddy.
The other line of product that we are dealing with is the Belize Jewels fruit pulps. This is something that is new on the pipeline. We deal with the small farmers. We buy the pulps from them, we package it, and then we have it for our local market. All of this is an effort to ensure that we have a market for these fruits that would otherwise have been wasted if we weren't doing the pulping at the moment. When it comes to beekeeping, the BMDC has improved on its installations at the Orange Walk branch, where we have our buying center.
We sell to marketing board with contract. So whatever we produce, they buy from us.
The BMDC doing a very good job, yes. They buy our rice and they pay we. We don't have to wait to piece payment. They pay we 60% and at 2-3 months they give you the next rest.
We deliver our products to them and they pay us one time and look like the rice financial is going up and look like it's helping us a lot.
We make wise decisions as a business entity to ensure that the farmers benefit and at the same time we make an income out of it to be able to do more projects.
Fast approaching Pro FC's back in Orange Walk Town on Saturday, June 15th inside the Orange Walk Multi-Purpose Complex exclusively on Channel 53 on Centaur.
El siguiente es un comunicado de St. Francis Xavier Credit Union Limited. Reunión especial. Comunicado a los miembros. Estimados miembros, en conformidad con la sección 61.8 de la Ley de Uniones de Crédito, el registrador de uniones de crédito ha otorgado aprobación al administrador para que se lleve a cabo una reunión especial. Dicha reunión se llevará a cabo el domingo 16 de junio del 2024 a las 10 de la mañana en el auditorio Hugo J. González en el Centro Escolar México Junior College, aldea de San Román en el distrito de Corozal. Todos los miembros están invitados a asistir a la reunión especial, ya que el administrador proporcionará una actualización sobre los asuntos de la unión de crédito. Se requiere que los miembros presenten sus libretas y una identificación válida para registrarse. Los arreglos de transporte se anunciarán en una fecha posterior. Mensaje del administrador St. Francis Xavier Credit Union Limited.
Good evening with your news. Also simulcast on Fiesta FM 106.7. I am Joanna Rodriguez. After being officially installed and sworn in, the commissioners who formed the Commission of Inquiry into the sugar industry have commenced their work. The hope is to collect enough data and information to then formalize several recommendations by the end of November this year, which will be presented to all stakeholders within the industry. Today we got an opportunity to speak one-on-one with the chairman of the commission, Wayne Piper, about the team's terms of reference, which was established by the Prime Minister himself.
The commission has been given a very wide remit to look at the sugar industry on a whole, but we start with trying to benchmark the efficiencies of the two major mills, being BSI mills here in Tower Hill and also Santander's mill. And we're benchmarking them not against only each other for efficiency, but also in terms of looking at other mills regionally. And we've also started looking at some internationally, wider than just in our region, that we can compare the efficiencies, not just what at our level we'd expect to see, not just in our region, but have an idea as to how sugar mills are operating globally. I think the reason for this is to see where we can improve our efficiencies locally. When we look at so many different options, and even locally, we've seen that the two mills operate almost completely differently. And so we have to find a way to balance these differences, but also find the inefficiencies and how there can be improvement. We've been also tasked to look at the efficiencies across the entire value chain of sugarcane. We're looking from farming, from planting seeds, all the way up to the marketing of the final product. So we are looking at the farming, the harvesting practices, the varieties that are being used in farming. We are also looking at the transportation to the mill, the efficiencies of the mill, as I've said, the uses of the product, because it's not just sugar that we're looking to get out. How can we use the molasses? Can we look at other products that we can use, such as ethanol? So the benefits are wide, and we're looking at it not just as a sugar industry anymore, but a sugar cane industry and how we can use the product widely. We've also been tasked to look at how we can improve the value to small farmers. We know we have two big industry players in terms of the mills, but especially in the north, a lot of the sugar is grown and harvested by small farmers. And they often get forgotten as development goes, and I think we've been tasked to really look at how we can see the practices that can benefit small farmers if it's worked elsewhere, how it can be applied in the Belizean situation as well.
Working under the umbrella of a vast TOR, the Commission has the right to request information once it does not infringe with the rights of the parties involved.
The Commission of Inquiry has a wide remit to gather information. The Commission of Inquiry Act says what we can request and how we request it, but it has to be within our terms of reference. We also have to balance that, as you said, with protecting the private commercial interests of parties. We have, as a commission, gone about it probably slightly different from how it would have been addressed previously, but we are trying to have this be an open sharing by all stakeholders. This week that we've been working together, we haven't been summoning parties and demanding documents. We've been sitting down with the stakeholders and asking them, within our terms of reference, share what you want us to see that can help us give recommendations that can benefit the industry, and share with us where you, as a stakeholder, would like to see the industry go. But at the same time, we've said to the stakeholders, how we are collecting the data is not to have it put out there in the public.
Okay.
We're collecting the data, we're keeping it private, we're keeping it in a data share, a virtual shared room that only the commissioners can access. And when we do our report is not to put out their documents. Our report is to scrape the information that we can use to give our suggestions, to give our referrals, to put together the report that the government can use to help to modernize the industry.
So to clarify, there could come a time that the Commission would request the opening of books, financial-wise, export, promotional, marketing, when it comes to the manufacturers or even the associations.
To that, I would say the Commission can make requests for documents that are within their terms of reference but do not infringe on the private and confidential data of a stakeholder.
Okay.
And this doesn't go just for BSI, it goes for all stakeholders. With
a lot of work ahead, the Commission has hit the ground running. Yesterday, they visited the Santander factory and its fields, and the same was done with BSI ESR. And this morning, the commissioners met with representatives from the Belize Sugarcane Farmers Association.
I think Santander, as with BSI, they were very open. We did a full walkthrough tour of both factories. We did visited various sites in both farms and saw different methods of planting, harvesting that both farms were taking on board. So it was very helpful. It was very eye-opening for all the commissioners.
Meeting with the association or with the BACFA, I don't know if you will go back into meetings with them, but how was the first part of the session this morning?
I think it was very helpful. Again, part of getting the information, getting the data from the stakeholders is building a rapport with them. And I think the BCSFA wanted to know how we are going to operate as a commission. I think they were very concerned about timing. They've been concerned about how long we've taken to get to this point. And we've assured them as a commission that we are bound to have our reporting by the end of November. And we have put together a schedule and we're working towards that aim. It was also very helpful in that they have shared with us their concerns. And they have shared with us not just in relation to their relationship with BSI, but again, we've asked all stakeholders, how do you want to see this industry grow and modernize? So it is even more, their concerns are not just their commercial agreement with BSI.
Do you see the commission actually working with that also in trying for both to reach an agreement, or that is out of the terms of reference?
That isn't within our term of reference. That is a commercial agreement that is negotiated between two private parties. We don't have a remit to look at their commercial agreement, and that is clear, I think, to all parties. We can only give our recommendations and a report to the government of Belize, and the government can make use of that report. And that report will be available to the public, I believe. So that report would have information that the parties, the stakeholders, the government may use for the benefit of the industry on a whole.
After site visits with the other associations and several familiarization tours, including that of the laboratory at Surdi, the commissioners plan to initiate its formal hearings in late August, early September.
And that is where we invite the stakeholders back in a public setting where they can give us their formal submissions and the commissioners can ask questions of them in relation to the data that we've seen to get clarity and also to try and figure out where they see the industry improving. From there, once we've had those public sessions, then we can sit down and finally put together the formal report that, as I said, we should have completed by the end of November.
However, those public sessions will not be live, as we see the one that's taking place right now with the Senate Commission.
We have not made a determination as to the mechanism, but the terms of reference have that the hearings of the work of the Commission should be held in public. We still, as a Commission, have to sit down and decide, again, with the resources that we have, how we can hold it being public, whether it is broadcast live or whether it's in a town hall session. We have to figure out those details.
The commission, as we have reported, is comprised of Wayne Piper, who is serving as chairman, along with 5 commissioners, namely Robert Mariette and Vinod Ramari from Mauritius, Jeffrey Joseph from Belize and the Church from South Africa, and Simon Gibbons from the United Kingdom. Lorena Posada is serving as secretary to the commission, while Hugh O'Brien serves as lead coordinator for the government of Belize. The Office of the Prime Minister through Beltrade today hosted the launch of the 2024 National MSME Roadshow. The event is hosted biannually and is geared at empowering micro, small, and medium enterprises, MSMEs, by offering valuable training, business incentives, and other resources. The roadshow is scheduled to run from June to October, with its official launch happening today here in Orange Walk Town. The event, which will be taken across the country in the coming months, underscores the significant contribution of MSMEs to Belize's economy, as well as acknowledges the challenges faced by them. The roadshow has the overall objective of providing developmental support services to the MSME sector while raising public awareness of Belizean goods and services.
At the onset, again, let me acknowledge the vital role that MSMEs play in the macroeconomic development of our nation. MSMEs fuel our communities, create jobs, and they drive innovation. They are diverse, ranging from family-owned mom-and-pop shops, such as what we see from farmers' daughters, to tech startups, from service providers to artisans. They fuel our orange economy. Most importantly, and listen to this, they contribute to more than 50% of GDP, approximately 70% of employment, and they are strategic in achieving our macroeconomic goals.
As a government, Prime Minister Briceño says more is being done to ensure that micro, small, and medium businesses are given more opportunities to thrive in our country through the legislative work.
The bill that we're going to introduce, the removable assets bill, and one of the things why that is also very, very important is that now you'll be able to use your assets like a tractor or a vehicle, or your equipment, and you'll be able to take that to mortgage at a financial institution to be able to get financing for your business. Presently, the only option you have is a pawn shop. And so once you sign up to a pawn shop, you have signed up to fail, because the interest rates that they charge, it's verging on being criminal. And so now by doing this, now we'll be able to open up new avenues, new opportunities for you. And I'm so proud to be a part of a government that is very excited and really committed to be able to ensure that we can move this economy, to grow this economy, but to grow it in such a way that is not only the big guys that are benefiting, but also the small entrepreneurs in this country. But for me to be able to do that, and for us to be able to have that kind of success, it is because we have a commitment from the cabinet.
Since the launch of the first ever MSME roadshow back in 2022, micro, small, and medium businesses across the country have reaped the benefits of the program, according to Executive Director of Beltrade, Dr. Leroy Almendares.
We listen to you. We start to help you from your conceptualizing. What is it that I want to do? What market do I want to get to? Because that's another thing. Don't just go into a market. Know what's operating within the market. So we collect market intelligence and can guide you and say that market is full, it's flooded. If you go in there, it's going to cost you more, and the profits have already declined. So start something new. Never be afraid to be a leader, so we can provide that market intelligence to you. These are some of the things that, that continues to happen. So if you ever hear about some of them, maybe you might not see them maybe on Facebook, but there's far more. There are a lot of them operating on Facebook. But I must say, you hardly hear these days, and I know you hear about things like inflation, etc. Right? But remember, there was that introduction of the minimum wage and things like that. But there are always avenues that are being created by the public sector, by the government, to ensure that it's easier to do business and do it without fear. In 2022, from what we gathered, it was about 1,000 throughout the 10 different locations. 53% of them were women. And I must say here that too often we hear that women are not bankable, women are more risky, and it's really not true. If you look at the penetration in education, it's mostly women. But we expect that to change, and greater consideration is given to the fact that, women have really the paradigm that shifted with greater education, the fact that they're, a lot of the more career oriented and things like that, they're less risky. And you would have heard the Prime Minister, if I may repeat this again, speak about that collateral registry, talking about movable assets that you can now use as a collateral. But there's also a redefinition of what is a micro, small, and medium. So you do become less risky. But I must say, as I said, that whenever one that we have in our database, and we have about 2,000 registered within Beltrade at our Small Business Development Center, but we continue to monitor those. And as more continue to join us, then that's registered. The other thing we do is to find out how many are operating within orange economy, blue economy, green economy, that kind of thing.
How many?
Also part of today's launch was a panel discussion by different stakeholders, including tourism, digitalization, and orange economy on the future of small businesses.
You know, Ms. Kim, who operates, or the director of ICA within the orange economy, we want to know what's happening within their space. Because, like I said, the government is focusing a lot on the orange economy. We know what happened to tourism with the pandemic. There was a decline, almost immediate decline, and it contributes over 40% to GDP. There's been a great rebound, and so CEO Solano could have told us, these are the things that we're doing. In terms of digitalization, the government formed the Ministry of E-Governance, and Ms. Peralta told us about, really, these are some of the initiatives, how much more digitalization is taking place in order to create greater efficiencies in terms of access to service.
The 2024 MSME Roadshow continues tomorrow here in Orange Walk Town with the official formalization clinic, followed by the Belizean Expo on Saturday at the Central Park. There is no doubt that the illegal trade of our sugar into Mexico and Guatemala remains a concern, especially since there is talk about a possible hike in sugar prices locally. While suggestions are that an increase in price could lead to a reduction of the illicit cross-border sugar trade, experts disagree. They believe that if the price of sugar should increase locally, it should be for other reasons. And then there is the possible exportation of our sugar to Mexico, which the Prime Minister is working on at this time. But is it a good move considering all the taxes and protocols applied by Mexico? Special Advisor to the Ministry of Agriculture, Hugh O'Brien, gives us his opinion.
It should be a simple question. But because of how the local sugar is priced and controlled, it is not a simple answer nor solution. I say that because in a normal situation, there should be no problem with anything leaving Belize to go abroad because we need the revenues. And in the case of sugar, we produce more than enough sugar. In fact, between Santander and BSI, we're now producing, approaching, by the next 3 years or so, we'll be at 200,000 tons of sugar. We only consume about 10 or 11,000 tons. So we're only consuming a little over 5% of what we'll be producing. Okay? So I'm saying that because then we should never have a problem where with such a large volume of production that we have a shortfall in the country.
Exactly.
Okay. But the second thing is that Mexico and Guatemala, both of them, Mexico has an extremely high tax rate on sugar. So that even if you were to formally export it, you cannot because their tax rate is extremely high, like 200% or some crazy figure. And Guatemala is the same thing. In fact, they don't even allow the sugar to enter their country. Now, in Belize's case, the sugar that is sold locally is produced and is sold at a price that is way below the market price because it is controlled. The last controlled price was put in place in 2014. And the justification is a poor people food and so on, etc. My view on it, I'm a bit more extreme in my views. My views is that we need to remove price controls totally from sugar. In fact, there's an argument being made that we're consuming too much sugar in Belize. The Ministry of Health is trying to work to have more fruit drinks in school and then have the sweet drinks and the Coke and so on. And I'm not hammering. I mean, I drink a little Coke here and there, but you won't get me to drink 3-4 Cokes a day like some people do.
Right.
So my view is that we need to promote the reduction in the consumption of sugar. And for health purposes, and adjusting the price is one way to reduce consumption. So my second view is that, my second justification there, and it's only my view, is that if the amount of money average family spends on sugar is very small compared to what they actually buy on other stuff that is food items. So it sounds like a big issue, but your consumption, how much sugar you consume in a year? I don't know if you consume 5 pounds of sugar in a year. So we're really battling over an individual consuming $4 or something worth of sugar for the whole year. So that's not something that really is going to hurt your pocket. But now on the industrial side, the bread manufacturers and the soft drink manufacturers and so on that consume a lot of sugar in their processing plant, they are the ones to some extent now. I'm saying that because then bearing in mind the political scenario and elections coming up and that kind of stuff, and the fact that there's no incentive on neither the farmers side nor BSI side, not even Santander right now is interested in selling sugar on the local market because they can take the same sugar and export it and get 2.5 times the price.
Coming up next, Belize takes measures to ensure the safety of cattle against the screwworm.
The Orange Walk Clinical Lab Summer Promotion 2024 is here. Get your summer promotion on glucose, cholesterol, triglyceride, and hemoglobin for only $20. Also, fantastic promotions on prostate PSA for only $50. We also have other packages on promotion. We also provide DNA paternity testing. We take this opportunity to inform the general public in the Orange Walk District that we are an approved NHI lab service provider. So for all your NHI lab tests, just visit your NHI medical provider and visit us at the Orange Walk Clinical Laboratory. We take care of all your NHI lab tests. Results are provided the same day. Come visit us on number 20 San Antonio Road, Orange Walk Town. Call for details at 322-0423 or 600-2727. Call 630-1479. Remember, don't wait for symptoms. Check your health today. The Orange Walk Clinical Laboratory.
Pro FC is here on Saturday, June 15th. Pro FC is back in Orange Walk Town inside the Orange Walk Multi-Purpose Complex. Pro FC 12. Vasquez versus Aguilar. For the main event, we have the 145 pounds professional MMA fight between undefeated Belizean MMA star Frank Mac Vasquez versus Mexico's Ari El Trompito Aguilar. We also have 8 other exciting MMA fights, including Orange Walk's very own 135 pounds champion Jalen Perez, as he takes on the #1 ranked fighter in Central America, Christian Centeno from Nicaragua, in a fight that will determine the #1 bantamweight in the entire Latin America region. It's going to be a night filled with exciting MMA action from start to finish. Doors open at 6:30 p.m. and the event starts at 7:30 p.m. sharp. General admission tickets are available at the Shell One Stop gas station in Orange Walk Town or from any Pro FC fighter. VIP tickets are by WhatsApp reservations only. 670-0716. Pro FC, Belize's premier MMA league.
This plan, I can't leave this plan. Smart Belize!
Hey there, smart thinkers. We're turbocharging your mobile experience with Smart's powered up postpaid plans. Imagine a world where your data speeds flows faster than ever. Well, guess what? We've cranked up the dial and unleashed the postpaid power of Smart's lightning-fast LTE data on all our postpaid plans. That's right, no speed bumps, more data. It's like having a limitless highway of data speed at your fingertips. Whether you're a lone ranger with an individual plan or a squad rolling with a group plan, everyone gets to surf, stream, and share at enhanced, full, high-quality speed. Switch to Smart's powered-up postpaid plans today and ride the wave of postpaid power. Visit any Smart showroom or smart-bz.com for details and make your mobile experience smarter and faster. Smart, bringing people together.
I know I can't leave this plan. I can't leave this plan.
A Brown Klassen, a member of the Mennonite community, is missing tonight and his family is desperately looking for him. Reports reaching our newsroom indicate Klassen has been missing since June 1st, 2024. That marks 13 days since he was last seen in Santa Clara near a tortilla factory dressed in a blue and white shirt, black long pants, and black slippers. We understand he was in the village working on a house. Klassen is a 5 feet 9 inches in height and only speaks Spanish. Since a missing persons report has already been lodged with the police, today we spoke to John Klassen, who told us his brother has a drinking problem and that is why the family worries about his whereabouts.
Él vive todavía con mi mamá. Y pues él en vez así andaba por 2, 3 días, andaba afuera y regresaba. Pero ya tiene como casi 2 semanas y no llegaba, no sé si lo mataron o qué, no sé qué pasó.
¿Han tratado de contactarlo a través de un teléfono o venir a ver dónde él ha estado?
Sí, me dijeron que andaba allá por Escuela México, pero ese fue el domingo pasado. Y yo fui el martes, yo andaba en este rumbo y yo no lo he visto allá.
A few minutes ago, we were informed by John Klassen that his brother has been found and is in good health. He has reunited with family in Little Belize. To facilitate the safe importation of cattle from Belize to Mexico for immediate slaughter and terminal fattening, the agriculture ministries of both countries are developing a sanitary control mechanism aimed at ensuring that cattle are free from pests and diseases of quarantine significance. It is of note that currently Mexico imports around 5,000 certified cattle annually from Orange Walk under an existing import protocol validated by the Central American Health Authority. The updated protocol seeks to include more certified producers from Belize. These producers must demonstrate through clinical tests that their cattle are free from bovine tuberculosis TB, brucellosis BR, and ticks, and pass a sanitary inspection conducted by Mexican veterinarians. Special Advisor to the Ministry of Agriculture, Hugh O'Brien, attended the meeting and spoke to us about the updated protocols for cattle exportation.
But 25 years ago, we were exporting cattle to Mexico, and because of the mad cow disease, and because the Mexicans say, oh, you know what, you guys have powdered milk from the United Kingdom, no, from Denmark, I think, in the free zone, they banned the importation of cattle from Belize. And it took Belize 20 years to open up back that market, to show you. And there was no strong technical reason for saying that cattle can't come from Belize, because the same ticks that they have there, we have here. The same diseases we have here, they have there. Anyway, long and short is that we can now export cattle to Mexico. But they've been very facilitating of Belize exporting cattle. The systems they put in place were designed specifically for Belize, so the veterinarians from Seneca, from their equivalent of Belize's Baja, comes down and they inspect the animals at the quarantine facility in Shipyard, which is not what is normally done. In most cases, when countries are importing, they have to have a corral that's close enough to the border, and that's where they will do their final inspection. So this scenario here was becoming a bit too cumbersome as the numbers increase. The Mexican, the coordination to get the vets to come down. Plus they have their work. They're supposed to be dealing with their animals over there. So Belize we asked that we move to a new dimension, a new system. And so between the Mexicans and Belize, we sat down, and that trip was very successful. They agreed for us to implement a system where the OIRSA, which is a regional organization that has branches in Guatemala, Nicaragua, is a regional plant and animal health organization that supports countries in developing our agricultural sector, but from a plant and animal health perspective. So OIRSA has employed a veterinarian, and that veterinarian is now doing the inspection of the animals. For right now, they are doing it jointly with the Seneca vets from Mexico, but that OIRSA vet will do all of the pre-inspections for Mexico, and Mexico will accept that, and then eventually Belize will later on have to build a corral close enough to the border where the Mexicans will come down and do one final inspection, and the system will move towards that eventually. So we have 2 years to reach that point, but in our agreement with Mexicans, we had 6 months to implement the OIRSA vet inspection to replace the Mexican vets. That OIRSA vet is now in place, and so the operations are going to be a lot more smoother because that OIRSA vet is in country in Belize. Okay. And so we're improving on that because we're expecting our export of cattle to Mexico is around 5,000 heads per year for the last 3 years. This year in particular, we will double to about 10,000 heads, and by next year we should be around 18 to 20,000 heads of cattle going to Mexico.
Right. So the meeting was also attended by Senacica's General's Director of Animal Health, Juan G. Gutierrez, and Jorge Luis Leiva Vasquez of Plant and Animal Health Inspection. Belize was also represented by the General Director of the Belize Agricultural Health Authority, Baja, Zoe Zatina, and Baja's Director of Animal Health, Roxana Alvarez. Also forming part of the discussions between representatives from Belize and Mexico was the exportation of green coconut. The conversation surrounding the possible trade commenced last year, and now it seems that exportation policies are already being formalized.
Okay. We have also, in that visit, we also negotiated with Mexico the access for Belize to be able to export green coconuts to Mexico, but the green coconuts without the husk. So it has to be the coconut with only the inside.
Right.
They will allow a certain amount of
the shell.
Yeah, just the shell. They will allow a certain amount of the husk, but they don't want the full green coconut into Mexico. We're working hard to try to get the full green coconuts in, but that's a bit more delicate because in their view that green coconut can still be dried and still germinate. And so they're kind of giving us trouble with that. But ideally, Belize has made significant investment in the growing of coconuts, and we try to make sure that there are markets for the coconuts that our farmers are producing.
And when it comes to the exportation of shrimp to Mexico, that market is flourishing.
Yes, we discussed shrimp. We've also cleared that Belize can export shrimp to Mexico. While Mexico has a ban on shrimp from Nicaragua, Honduras, and so on, Belize is, because we have a very good system of inspection that is put in place by BAHA, the Belize Agricultural Health Authority. And so that protocols are being respected by the Mexicans, and we can continue to export shrimp to Mexico.
One major topic of discussion during recent meetings between representatives from Belize and Mexico was the matter of cattle screwworm. Discussion centered about the current threat in Panama and Costa Rica, which poses a risk to regional livestock. During that meeting, health authorities were urged to collaborate and allocate resources to prevent the insect's northward spread. Mexico has proposed a pest eradication plan to the International Regional Organization for Plant and Animal Health, OIRSA, to halt its advance before it reaches Nicaragua. Agriculture Minister Honorable Jose Mai is a veteran in eradication efforts of this pest, which spans over 30 years. Although the pest has not been found to be in Belize for many years, Minister Mai says his ministry has taken steps to ensure the safety of Belizean cattle against this specific threat.
That was my first job as a young man, as a young technician back in early 90s. We eliminated screwworms in 1994 from Belize. The eradication program went all the way to Panama. Unfortunately, it seems that from Colombia, the flies have crossed into Panama, and from Panama now into Costa Rica, and from Costa Rica now into Nicaragua. So the flies are getting closer to Belize. We have not had incidents of screwworm from 1994. So before 1994, we are happy. Now, the Mexicans have now changed the protocol to say now that any country that has had a case of screwworm in the last year will not be able to export cattle to them. So it is of critical importance that we monitor, survey, and we keep these screwworms out of Belize. In a risk assessment, I think it will be very clear that Belize poses the least risk when it comes to screwworms. Why? Because we are not an importing country of cattle. All other countries in the region import cattle. We are an exporting country. So we pose less risk to the Mexican and to the American markets.
And there is more news after the break. Stay tuned.
Pro SC is here on Saturday, June 15th. Pro SC is back in Orange Walk Town inside the Orange Walk Multi-Purpose Complex. Pro SC 12. Vasquez versus Aguilar. For the main event, we have the 145 pounds professional MMA fight between undefeated Belizean MMA star Frank Mac Vasquez versus Mexico's Ari El Trompito Aguilar. We also have 8 other exciting MMA fights, including Orange Walk's very own 135 pounds champion Jalen Perez, as he takes on the #1 ranked fighter in Central America, Christian Centeno from Nicaragua, in a fight that will determine the #1 bantamweight in the entire Latin America region. It's going to be a night filled with exciting MMA action from start to finish. Doors open at 6:30 p.m. and the event starts at 7:30 p.m. sharp. General admission tickets are available at the Shell One Stop gas station in Orange Walk Town or from any Pro FC fighter. VIP tickets are by WhatsApp reservations only. 670-0716. Pro FC, Belize Premier MMA League.
The Ministry of Agriculture, Food Security and Enterprise will be hosting 3 days of community outreach in the Orange Walk District starting on June 24th. The upcoming sessions are geared at informing farmers about the sustainable and inclusive Belize Climate Resilient and Sustainable Agriculture Project, which is offering financing for eligible farmers for work towards climate-smart agriculture. These sessions, according to Agriculture Minister Honorable Jose Mai, seek to inform farmers about the project opportunity to allow eligible farmers to apply and take advantage of coming opportunities to better their trade.
Under the previous administration, when funds used to come, it seems that the information was not very well disseminated and a handful of people were benefiting over and over again. We have changed that approach and we have said to the funding agencies of these projects that we need to inform the public, inform the farmers. There's a whole list of farmers that have been registered. And so they need to go to the villages and explain what the projects are about so that everybody who qualifies should apply. It is sad, for example, when government changed, there were farmers in San Carlos that were never engaged, never benefited from some of the big projects. And so we are now taking a different approach. We must go to the communities and explain to the farmers what the project is about and how they can benefit. All right?
The community outreach meetings will begin on June 24th at the San Roman Community Center in the morning and at the San Antonio Community Center in the afternoon. On the 25th, the sessions will be hosted at the Yo Creek Agricultural Station in the morning and the San Esteban Lions Club in the afternoon. The final day of sessions will be on the 26th at the San Pablo Community Center in the morning and Nuevo San Juan Community Center in the afternoon. During this week's cabinet meeting chaired by Prime Minister John Briceño, cabinet was briefed on the continuous work of the National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO, with affected communities to provide support, including monitoring areas made vulnerable to mudslides and ensuring that support is provided to replant crops that were destroyed. In preparation of the hurricane season, cabinet was briefed by the chief meteorologist, who advised that the 2024 hurricane season will be active. Cabinet also supported the Ministry of Economic Development's plan for Belize and the International Institute for Sustainable Development through the National Adaptation Plan Global Network to co-host the 2024 conference in San Pedro Town. The forum will be hosted from the 12th to the 14th of August 2024. Cabinet also gave its support for Belize to host Ministers of Finance and the Economy of 26 Latin American and Caribbean countries for the third high-level regional dialogue on the climate change platform. The meeting will be held in San Pedro Town from the 30th to the 31st of August 2024. In relation to the incident at the San Ignacio Regional Hospital on June 1st, Cabinet approved for decision action to be taken and instructions have been issued calling for the escalation of the operation to round up those persons who participated in the attack on the facility and staff, as well as all gang elements operating in San Ignacio and Santa Elena. Cabinet gave its approval for the submission of legislation to amend the criminal code to criminalize the unauthorized publication, dissemination, or disclosure of statements, documents, video footage, photographs, or other materials that form part of an ongoing criminal investigation that can endanger the lives of witnesses and compromise the integrity of investigations. Cabinet supported a request by the People's Constitutional Commission for a 6-month extension of its work. This will extend the Commission's mandate from the 15th of May 2024 to the 14th of November 2024 to allow it to properly complete its work. And that's the news. We invite you to join us for another newscast on Friday, June 14th, here on Ctv3 and Fiesta FM 106.7. Remember that to read a text version of the news, you can visit our website at ctv3belizenews.com. You can also log on to our Facebook page for current stories at facebook.com/ctv3belizenews or our YouTube channel at Ctv3 News BZ. Remember to wash your hands and remain safe. From all of us here at Ctv3 News, thank you for watching and listening. Good night.